Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing good. So today I'm back again with another repotting video, and in this video I'll be repotting a plant which I've had for about 2 years. Yeah. So this is Malpighia coccigera or coccigera, also known as Singapore holly. So I'll be repotting this in this bonsai tray today. So this is a very shallow tray compared to the pot which it was initially planted in. So this plant has a very compact growth, so it is a very good, you know, to be turned into a bonsai. So it grows in a very bushy manner, and the leaf structure is also very small. It even blooms, those white blooms it has, very good looking blooms. This pot, it was, I don't know what it was. This was growing this one particular weed time and time again, and I don't know what kind of weed this is, but this weed has been growing in random pots all through for the past year or so. So we'll be taking out the plant out of this pot today, and we'll see what the root of this weed is like. So look, I'm just checking what kind of soil this was planted in. This is a basic garden soil, I think, but it had a slight tinge to the maybe I mixed in some red soil. I don't usually do that, but it had a red tinge to it, so I was a bit concerned. And so here you can see the root structure of the plant. It has got really nice root structure, and we'll be taking out the weed first. Let's see what kind of, if it has some sort of bulb or something, because I've tried to pull the weed out. I've failed to get the roots out every time. So this is the root structure of the weed. I don't know if any of you guys know. Please do comment what kind of weed this is, what kind of plant this is. So I'm just checking if there's any more roots of this weed in this soil mix. So apparently this was the only one root, and this was growing from this again and again, and that was it. We'll throw it away now. So you can see it was got a good nice root growth, very hair like roots. And at this point you could see there was some red, very sharp red tinge to the change in the soil color. It was brownish blackish first, and here I realized I might have just potted it with the soil root, soil root ball. It came in, it was just planted as is. So that was red soil. And there are lazy days for me. I don't usually plant. I've had so many plants so far. I really don't like using red soil. It gets very clay. Once it's watered, it hold on to moisture for a very long time. And me being me, I water my plants almost every day in summers. In winters, I do it every other day. And rainy days, I don't water them. But still, it rains. And when it's monsoon over here, it rains a lot over here. So I don't need to water it on those days. So if it's a clay soil, it will hold on to moisture for a very long time. So I really don't like using red soil. That is the only reason. And I've lost a lot of my plants for them being planted in red soil. There are still a few plants, I think, which I do have in red soil, but that is because whenever I've repotted them in garden soil, they have not performed well enough, or they've died in my garden soil. So I tend to keep them in the red soil only. So I don't repot them as often as I do the other pots or other plants. Yeah, so I'm just getting rid of all the red soil here now, as I don't want to carry it on anymore. Even the root growth which was in the garden soil was much, healthier than the one which was in the red soil. So even the plant, it was liking the garden soil more than the red soil. So there's just a little bit of soil left closer to the inner root ball of the plant, and I'm just trying to be as precautious and as careful. I just don't want to mess the roots now when almost all of the soil is out, and at the end stage I don't want to damage the roots. I intend to keep all the roots intact for the time being. If the roots they get in the pot, I'll be keeping them as is. Otherwise we'll prune a little bit of the roots off. So there's just a little bit of the red soil left. So talking about this plant, this has a very shiny leaf, so that is what I really liked. And it even blooms, when once it's fully covered and blooms. There's a season, I don't remember what season exactly that is, but it is fully covered in blooms, those white, really petite looking white blooms. It's really beautiful. And I've placed it in like full sun most of the year, except in the months of May, June, and July, because that is the time we have the harshest sun over here. So it's very sunny, it's very hot. At that time, it's under a green net or green shade. Otherwise, it's in full sun. So that is what it's performed really well. For the last year, I've not been very vigilant with very good with watering, and that is when I've neglected most of my plants. I've lost quite a few of my plants as well. So and that time only it's died back a little bit from the top also. You can see some dead stems at the top of the plant, even though it's growing more leaves now, but it's died back quite a lot also. So here we have removed all the red soil now. So I won't be keeping it. I don't keep a backup for red soil. I throw it away as soon as I get it, or as soon as I remove it from from any plant. And that is what I'll be doing today also. I'll be getting rid of the soil mix. I don't plan to use it in any of my plants. I'll be repotting in the future. Otherwise, I do reuse my soil if it's free of the red soil. Other than red soil, I'm okay with any other soil so far. So yeah, I'll be removing that or keeping that away, throwing that away. And I've already prepared a soil mix for this bonsai tree. So this is a mix of peat moss, perlite, pumice, orchid bark, and yeah, that is it. And now I'm just trying to I tried to place the plant in this tray, but the root structure was a bit much for the tray. So I'm pruning away a little bit of the lower growth of the roots, lower part of the roots. So the very no, I'm not removing any big roots or any tap roots of any sort, but just the small growth which is very bounce like which has a lot of bounce to it. So the plant was not getting settled down easily in the tray. So let's try again, and this time it fits really nicely. So yeah, this is what we'll go with. And I think there was still a little bit of red soil left in that roots, so let me just remove them just a tiny bit, and I don't want to keep any bit. So I don't know, I know it's not like going to affect that much if a little bit stays back, but I just really want to remove all of it. Yeah, so I think I've got almost all of it away. Yeah, so we'll be repotting it now. So I'll be using a wire today to secure the roots with the pot. So we usually do that with all of the bonsai plants because they are repotted without, and all the soil is removed from the roots, so it's not well settled and established to stay still on its own. So we tie the roots to the pot just as a precaution, that so that the plant doesn't get uprooted very easily. So that is what I'm doing today. So there's one drainage hole in the pot, so I'm bending the wire, and I'll pass the bent part of the wire down the drainage hole, and I'll fold it from down under the pot, and then with the remaining ends which are above the drainage hole, we'll tie the roots of the plant with it. So here I'm passing it down the drainage hole, and with the other hand I've bent the lower part of the wire, so the wire doesn't come back up. That is how I secure the wire to the pot, and we'll use these end bits to tie the root of the plant to the pot. Here I'm just checking if the wire is moving around or not. So apparently it was a little bit loose, so I'm just folding it a little bit, giving it a few turns so that it doesn't move around that much. Because once the plant is potted, the wire is not going to move a lot, maybe a little bit if it's really shaken, but otherwise it is going to stay put. So here we have placed the plant in the tray. So I'm really happy with how the roots look. The roots which were above the soil level, they are looking really nice. I've not trained them or anything. It's this plant's natural growth, and that is what I really like about this plant. So it already has a very bonsai look to it, so you don't have to train it as much as you'll have to train other ficuses or other plants. So if you do find it in a nursery nearby, so I would urge you, and you're into bonsai, so you should really buy one of these plants at least. I mean, you'll have to prune the leaves from the main stems of this tree a little bit, because they tend to grow, very, along the whole trunk, whole stem. So you'll have to prune it from time to time. Otherwise, it's a really good looking plant. So here I'm now filling up the plant roots with all the soil mix that we have prepared. Shake the pot a little bit so that the soil settles down and it gets in the roots, and the plant is secured. So, and this is a very shallow and small tray, so I don't have very, much space to leave a very big lip for watering. So I'm filling it almost to the top. So when you do something like that, and so make sure that when you're watering such a plant which doesn't have a lip, so plant while watering it, use a very, gentle water pressure. Don't, like, use a water which has a lot of pressure to it. Gently water it so that the soil doesn't dislodge, or otherwise if you use a lot of pressure on it and the soil is light, it will get out of the pot and you'll have to add more soil time and time again. I'm just pushing the soil in the roots with my needle that I have. I'm using the blunt part of this knitting needle. It's coming very handy, I've been using it for quite a time now. So this was my mother's old knitting needle. My mother used to knit. So she's not using it anymore. She's not knitting anything anymore. So this was lying free, and I've made it as a helping tool in my gardening. So I'm just topping off covering all the roots that I can, leaving the roots which are already above soil level. I'm not covering those. I'm keeping it out of the soil level, and I really like that look. So yeah, I think we're almost done. I'm just making sure that the soil is settled properly. This was just a little bit of soil left, so I was thinking if I should add all of it. This much soil is not going to matter so much, so let's cover the roots properly and put all the soil back in the pot. So here we are done with the repotting bit. Our repotting step is done now. Our plant has been repotted successfully. So I'm just looking at the front, which will be the front of the tree. So now I'll be pruning away these very leggy looking stems now, because we want a very compact looking tree structure for this plant. I won't be wiring this plant today because it doesn't have that many strong branches to keep the wire stable, and I want to give it a time to reflourish a little bit more, grow more stems, so I've got better options to select the main branches and stuff like that. So I'm just pruning away all the leggy parts, and I'm removing all the dead branches also. So this was the dead branch at the top. There were 2 or 3 dead top. It died from the top, but it grew back again from the base and around the plant. So this is a very time consuming step in this plant's case, because most of the leaves are growing right from the main stems. So I'm just removing them at this point. Just start, you can, if you're not very comfortable with pruning, just start by cleaning the base stems. You'll start to see the main look of the tree, and then you can go from there. You can decide which levels of the stems you want to keep, remove the stems which are growing downwards or upwards straight to the branches, and I do that as well. Remove those branches first. I could wire it, but I am choosing not to, I just want to give this plant a little bit of a growth time so it can grow. We can wire it later on, that is not an issue. I'll make another video if after some time when it's grown a few more branches. I'll show how I'll be wiring this plant. So this is all we have pruned today from this plant, and I think that is it for today. Let's clean our work table now. So this is the plant, guys. I think that is it for today. Here you can, I finally realized I should check how much of the plant is visible on the screen. So yeah, this is it. So I was just deciding how I should be wiring this this stem, but I decided not to wire it again. So here's a 360 of the plant. This is what I was saying, how the leaves they grow from straight from the main stems. So that is what you have to clean time and time again, but that is okay, that is not a very big deal. And this is it for today's video, guys. We are done with the repotting of Malpighia coccigera or coccigera, and that is it. If you like my video, please do like and subscribe to my channel. We'll get more stuff like this. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.